Like once this is done, it's going to be difficult. But welcome everybody. Today we're going to be talking about dining out, how to build a balanced, health supporting plate, especially when dining out. For those of us that go out to eat every once in a while, it's important to make good choices. And I want you all to know it's extremely easy to go from one meal to a whole day, and they call that cheating, and nobody should cheat. Like, think about it. Cheating is so attributed to things that are not good. So a lot of people say that's a cheat meal or a treat. I don't like the idea of treats either, because treats are typically things that we give to our pets. So let's not think of ourselves as that. But it's very easy. And I'll tell you, I remember even when I studied, and if you look at the whole fitness industry, they will tell you it's extremely easy to go from a cheat meal to a cheat day to a cheat week to a cheat month, and then it becomes the way you eat. Very easy, very easy. It's extremely difficult to go the other way, where you have to give up all these things, because think about it. The things that we eat are addictive, sugar especially, more addictive than cocaine. That's a scientific fact. So it's very difficult to break those addictions, and it's very easy to get addicted to them. And I'll tell you, and this is from a energy medicine thing. In life, those things, especially of the mind, things that are negative, have a, if we're going to assign a point system to it or a weight, it has 4 units of weight. Negative things, especially in our thinking. Okay, so if you guys think of negative thinking, a negative thought has a weight of 4 points. A positive thought has a weight of 1 point, or a unit of measure. So 4 units for negative thoughts, 1 unit for positive thoughts. So think about it. The negative is so much heavier. So it has so much more weight. It has so much more gravity, which is why people are so inclined, especially when we have from the outside world so much of an impact of negativity. So it works the same in nutrition. I mean, if you look across the board in life, a lot of things are very much interconnected. So when it comes to bad eating, the same thing. It's very easy to gravitate towards what's not good for us, and it's very difficult to gravitate towards the things that are good for us. So because the weight of these foods that are addictive, we tend to gravitate towards them. Now, that's my introduction for tonight. So if you're going to be dining out, you have to be going in educated, and you have to remember to stay on the path that you're on. And oftentimes a lot of people say, well, I'm not going to go eat out because, you know, I'm doing this, I'm doing keto, I'm doing whatever diet they are on. Or if you know, you're going to eat 1 meal a day, you have to sort of plan in advance. So if you are going to stick to 1 meal a day, let that going out be your meal. If you eat within a certain window, then make sure that that window is now going to be the time that you eat, and you do not eat outside of that. So because you're used to eating at, let's say, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then all of a sudden you're going out on a Saturday night for a friend's birthday or whatever the case may be, then you're going to move that meal from 3 in the afternoon to whenever you're going out for your friend so that you can eat. And then the next day, you just jump right back to what you were doing. You eat at 3 p.m. So looking at the time, I see that it's a little after 8. So I want you guys to see my, give me 1 quick second. I'm going to share my screen. As always, I want you guys to see. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining. Okay, here we go. Let's begin. Here we are. I'm just going to take my pictures out of the way, because I want to also be able to see what you guys see. All right. So, as you guys know, I have affectionately called this golden health, like the golden years. For those of you that remember the Golden Girls, that's kind of how I came up with that idea, right? The golden years, or elder years. All right, for those of you that are joining for the first time, although I know that many of you are here as a continuation from previous times, you all know me. I am Simone. I don't know why this is not, it's acting up a little bit, but technology is not always as easy as we think. So I'm Simone. I am an author. Those of you that know, I've written a book. It's called Against Medical Advice, and it chronicles the approach that I use to integrate nutrition to get myself back on track with my health after I had a stroke back in 2011. I look at that as just something that happened to me. I don't attach it to my identity. I'm not a stroke survivor. I just am a person that had a stroke. A stroke happened to me in my lifetime along the continuum of life. Don't ever attach any diseases to your identity. We can talk about more about that in more detail in another session, but definitely an important one. I'm also a holistic transformational health coach because transformation starts in the mind and the way you think about food. I'm also a nutritional consultant. I studied holistic nutrition. And then I went to the US and I studied regenerative detoxification as well as holistic cancer. And I've also done an internship in a holistic cancer clinic. I'm also a certified personal trainer. I've been so since 2006, and I integrate that as part of my health regimen and my lifestyle. So for those of you that don't know, that's who I am. And let's talk about dining out. First things first, though, there are challenges whenever we go out to eat, and it can be challenging, especially as we age. And as you see in this picture, which kind of covers it all, this is typically what we see in most restaurants. I'm not going to say all, but most restaurants. And people typically like to go and consume these kind of foods because they are treating themselves. They're going out. So, they think, well, at home, I eat healthy. But when I go out, I'm going to indulge. Well, that has an impact on the body inside, although we don't know about it because we don't feel it. But at the cellular level, the cells feel it and our body systems feel it. And for those of you that have done that, if you think about it, the next day when you wake up, you feel it. If you've ever gone out and done something terrible, like mix alcohol with really bad foods, such as these ones, you actually feel like you have a food hangover, much like the one from alcohol. So while we dine out and we do face challenges like the enticing foods, like in this picture, it's more so as we age because we feel like we have, invested in our health and we want to be able to enjoy something. But as we age, our body takes it so much harder than when we're young. For those of you that remember, much like I do, I remember when I was younger in my 20s, I used to go out, I used to eat a lot of bad stuff. And then afterwards, within a day, I would recover. If I was to eat anything that you see on the screen right now in that picture, it would probably take me a good 2 weeks to recover from that. I mean, I would feel bloated. I would gain a whole bunch. I would retain a lot of water. I would have bags under my eyes. I wouldn't be able to sleep. I would be constipated. I would have digestive distress. I would feel heartburn in my stomach. So there's a whole slew of things, right? So I put together an easy to understand overview of some of the common challenges and some simple explanations for each one of them so that you can understand what awaits you if you're going to go out to eat. So most of the challenges are in the high sugar content. Many restaurant meals are very high in sugar, although you don't know it. And this is concerning, especially for those that are battling diabetes or any kind of heart health. So any hypertension or heart disease, have gone through bypass surgeries, have had heart attacks, things of that nature. And this is typically due to the use of processed ingredients and added sugar to flavor the foods, right? So if you see in this picture, like these buns here and this, the French fries, That's starch actually, and then it's deep fried in bad oil. We've already talked about oil. We don't know how many times they deep fry foods in. We don't know how often they change it. We don't know how often they clean their machinery and their utensils and everything that they use. So we don't know. Next thing would be portion sizes. Oftentimes, restaurants have really large portion sizes, more than we would eat at home. So we tend to overeat because psychologically, and for those of you that have grown up much like I did, my parents would be like, we're not going to throw food out. There are people who have no food to eat. So you are conditioned to finish everything on your plate. So what you're going to do is you're going to go and you're going to have double, triple what you would eat at home, right? Um, and this can lead to overeating, which it always does. It leads to an imbalance in calorie intake, which is outside what the body is used to, which is crucial for managing weight and overall health. So if you're going to typically go and eat, let's say on average for women, 1,200, 1,500 calories a day, and then you go and you have, 2,000 calories in one meal, then you are now about at 3,000 calories. So you had your 1,200, which is your usual, and then you go and you add 2,000, you're now at 3,200 calories, which is almost 3 times as much as what we usually eat. So imagine what the body's going to do with that, whatever it doesn't recognize or whatever it cannot use. And most of what's in this picture is not real nutrition. It's going to actually stuff everything in the fat cells. And the reason why you see a lot of people that have like cellulite on their legs, especially for the ladies, those cells, those fat cells, which are supposed to be smooth. And if you look at the younger children, like the younger girls, the children, they don't have cellulite because that's the natural shape of the fat cells. But when there's so much stuffed in there, much like if you think of a grocery bag, you stuff so many things, the bag is no longer smooth. Well, that's what happens, right? So you don't want to have all of that increased amount of calories, the portion sizes, you have to be careful. I do have a remedy for that I'll be talking about later. Another challenge is the limited healthy choices in restaurants. And the reason why I chose this picture is because it really tells 1,000 words. A picture tells 1,000 words. Some restaurants have limited healthy options, which make it so hard to find meals that are low in calories and high in nutrients, especially if you're on a specific diet. Like if you're, if you're a diabetic and you have to make sure you watch what you eat, or if you're on a ketogenic diet or whatever diet you're on, or even if you're just used to eating healthy, this will really do damage. So you have to be very careful. So it's particularly challenging when we have limited healthy choices for those with those dietary restrictions, or even those that have, let's say, allergies, food sensitivities. We don't know what's in these foods. And oftentimes, if you ask the server, they're not that knowledgeable about what happens in the kitchen. And moreover, if any of these things come from food companies that bring them to the restaurant to cook, well, you would have to ask the food companies. So the servers are not going to be able to give you the answers you're looking for. So you have to make sure that you remember that and take your nutritional needs into account. There are also hidden calories. Meals at restaurants have hidden calories all the time, especially in things like dressings, sauces, and cooking methods. Like, for example, frying. That increases the calorie intake exponentially. If you could take these potatoes, I mean, I'm hoping they are real potatoes, and you put them in an oven and bake them versus fry them, deep fry them, while the calorie discrepancy is quite vast. So these extra things like sauces, as you could see here, dressings, even on salads, they significantly increase the calorie content of a meal exponentially. So I'll tell you guys a story. I remember I was once in Mississauga and I was eating at this restaurant, North Mississauga by, my goodness, I think it was Mississauga Road near Argentia. And the salad, I mean, it was delicious. And I didn't even pay attention to it until afterwards. I looked at the menu because I was going to get something else. And I just glanced. That salad, okay, so it was a lot of vegetables. I was happy about that. With chicken, I was happy about that too. But the dressing, the salad was about 1,900 calories, most of which came from the dressing. Imagine that. And there was sugar in the dressing. So I learned my lesson. There you go. That's what happens. There are also unknown ingredients, okay? So when we don't prepare the food ourselves, which is why I've always told you guys, the best meals you can have. And I had a conversation with my best friend actually just yesterday, and we were talking about how I would go and I would have even dessert if it's homemade. I think she was making something at home. And I'm more than happy to eat something that somebody has made fresh and I know what's in those things rather than eat something that sits on a shelf. We don't know what's in it, what's hidden in it. So unknown ingredients actually could cause damage. When we don't prepare the food, it's hard to know what's in it, right? And this can be a problem, especially for those that have food sensitivities, allergies, things of that nature, for those trying to avoid certain ingredients for health reasons or even for ethical reasons, like, people who are vegan. If there's egg in it and they don't know, of course, that causes the ethical issue. But imagine if there's something in there that makes somebody's throat close and they're going to be gasping for air. And oftentimes this happens, you just find out about that allergy then and there. And you're at a restaurant. And so, as you can imagine, this can cause a very big health issue. There's also temptations and social pressure because when we dine out, what often happens, it comes with the social pressure to indulge in less healthy options like desserts, alcohol, and this really derails healthy eating habits. We all have those people that are there be like, oh, you're so skinny, just have it, it's fine. Or, oh, you don't have to worry about it, or we'll worry about it later. Well, no, if you value how good you feel, you have to maintain that. So you have to make the choices for yourself and not cave into the social pressure. I also want you guys to know that there's a lot of lack of nutrient diversity. And you're probably wondering what the heck does she mean by that? Well, restaurants may not always offer a wide variety of fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, which leads to a lack of nutrient diversity in your diet, right? You want to be able to have access to things that you enjoy eating. Like instead of having, let's say, fries, maybe you want to have quinoa if you really want to have carbohydrates. Well, they don't offer that. I mean, they've opened a lot of things because even these restaurants, they want to be able to monetize what they offer and they want to make sure that their customers are repeat customers. But oftentimes in places like these, you'll find that they don't do that. So what can you do? That is the magic question. Well, there are healthy options, right? Let's look for restaurants with healthy options. You can look for restaurants that have, oops, somebody's trying to get in. Let me admit them. You have to look for restaurants that have healthy options. Before you go out, or even if you're just passing by, look at their menu, okay? You want to eat at healthy restaurants. Be mindful of the portion sizes, okay? Share your meal if you have to. So for example, if there's something and the meal is so big, you could just order one thing and share it together, or you can ask for a half portion and then you could take the rest at home and then you could have that later or the next day. You could take it for lunch at work, whatever the case may be. You can also customize your order. I am the queen of that. My best friend knows this. Every time we go out, I ask, can I substitute this with this? Can I take this off and put this instead? And trust me, restaurants have to accommodate, especially in today's world when people have so many food sensitivities, they have so many allergies, and people do things for ethical reasons. So veganism has become so big. They have to accommodate. And again, they want to have repeat customers. Their business depends on customers, some people like us that pay for their foods. So it's important that you ask them to customize. So you can ask for dressings or sauces on the side. You could ask for different kinds of dressings. You can ask them to change their cooking methods from, let's say, if they're deep frying, say, hey, can I have that grilled? Or instead of saying that's pan fried, say, can I have it steamed instead? So you could do that. And the best part about that is the fact that they actually have to make it for you. So you can make sure that it's not pre-made and they're just like plopping it on a plate and bringing it to your table. They actually have to make it in the way that you like it. So that's an important one. You should also ask lots of questions, okay? I always ask lots of questions about the menu so I can make informed decisions. A lot of times, like I was telling you in the earlier slide, people don't know, the servers don't know. But what you could do is ask them to let you speak either to the chef or whoever's cooking Or if they cannot come out to speak with you, then ask them to ask and then to let you know. It's your right to know what you're going to put in your body, especially as a paying customer. And you should also plan ahead. So, like I said, look at the menu online if you can and decide what to order in advance. That's actually very important because you go there with a plan of action. You're not going to be making decisions, and don't go super hungry. I know that oftentimes we go out to eat, but when you're hungry, you do not make good decisions. And trust me, I'm guilty of that as well. When I'm hungry, I just want to eat something because I want to quell the hunger. But it actually, my ability to reason kind of is not driven by, hey, I should have good nutrients. It's more driven by like, I need to make this feeling go away right now because I don't like how it feels. So be mindful of that. That's why it's important to look at the menu. So when you get there, you kind of already know, you've already had a chance to study the menu and to see what's in each meal. And you can make the decision how big it is, whether you're going to take home, you share, all of those things. So it's important to make an informed decision. Very important. All right. So when you create a healthy plate as you eat out, like when you go to a restaurant, but what I want to emphasize is that you could also do this when you go to somebody's house and you're going to eat. I mean, oftentimes we sort of associate with people that eat like us, like my best friend and I eat very similar, and we always kind of, you know, share information about food. We share things, pictures, you know, recipes, so on and so forth. But if you're going to be going to somebody's house, one of the things you could do is you can bring something to the house that you know is important for you to consume. And it's not rude for you because obviously you are bringing something to the host, which is really nice. You have something to eat. You're also able to share it with other people there. They're able to see some of the things that you cook. They're able to taste some of the things that you cook, which I hope should always be healthy. So it's a win-win-win. But the goal of creating a healthy plate is to have balance, right? You want to be able to have balance and you want to get a variety of nutrients. But one of the most important rules of it, okay, because you want to ensure you're getting everything the right way and that you're not going to go in digestive distress. So to craft a healthy plate, a healthy meal, first get hydrated. So drink water, drink herbal tea, or any no sugar or very low sugar beverage. So staying hydrated is key for overall health, and it can help you with your digestion actually, and with feeling full. So before your meal, and that's why I put it in red and in capital letters, is so that you know you do it before. It's actually super important, and I've made many videos on this on my Instagram, shared it to Facebook if you follow me. When you eat and you drink at the same time, what you're actually doing, what the liquids are doing. So in the stomach, we have our digestive juices, right? Digestive enzymes are very rich. They start in the mouth, in your saliva, and a lot of it is in the stomach, hydrochloric acid, right? That's what breaks down the food. When you introduce liquids, and I've said this to everybody, like children, adults, everybody should apply this. When you mix liquids with your meal, what you do is you're diluting the strength and concentration of your digestive juices, of your hydrochloric acid, of your saliva. So what you do is you reduce the potency of what you need to break down that food, and you're going to get bloated. That's digestive distress. So what you should do is you should have your water, and ideally it should be water, although herbal tea is great too, but you can't drink herbal tea really quickly because it's hot. So have a glass of water about 30 minutes before you're going to eat so that you have enough time for it to get out of your stomach, and then eat so that your stomach is actually empty, ready for food. You are hydrated already, and you're not going to be apt to eat a lot, right? So get hydrated before you eat. I know that many times it's unavoidable. We drink wine with our meals, but you have to get ready for the digestive distress, especially because you're mixing wine is a lot of sugar, no nutrition. So if you can, drink away from meals, always away, far away, that there's no mixing of liquid and food in your stomach. That's a very important one, which is why I put it as a first, get hydrated. Now, how to craft the plate in any setting. And I wanted to make sure that I say that in any setting, whether you're at somebody's house or at a restaurant or in your own home, even though you're not going to be dining out when you're home, but you understand what I'm saying. Fill half of your plate with fruits and vegetables. So those can be anything like broccoli, whatever you made. Like I made rapini the other day, Brussels sprouts. Ideally, the green ones are the best ones to have. But if you want to add anything, so you can have the rainbow in there, it's perfect. So this is a very important and key step because you want to aim for variety, right? You want to have vitamins, you want to have minerals, you want to have antioxidants in your meal. You want to have as much of the good stuff as possible, and that's how you get it with the vegetables. So vegetables and fruits. And for those of you that don't know, if you're having a salad, sometimes you throw blueberries in the salad, sometimes strawberries. So that's why I said fruits and vegetables. They're very high in fiber, right? So that's an important step. You guys remember when I was telling you about the fiber? Well, there is the fiber. It actually helps, especially if you're dealing with diabetes. It helps with digestive health. It keeps you regular, so you could go to the bathroom. And typically, as you guys all know, depending on how you cook them, vegetables are very low in calories, and it makes them great for weight management. But I'm not referring to going to a sushi restaurant and getting the deep fried vegetables in batter. So those are not, okay? Also important, and we've had an entire session on this, include lean protein. About a quarter of your plate should be lean protein. And this can be animal-based like fish, chicken, turkey, or if you're plant-based, you could have beans, lentils, tofu, things like that, but you do need to have your protein. Remember what we talked about, that if you don't have strong muscles that make strong bones and you fall, it can lead to death. And that was from a very good source that I gave you guys a snippet of so that you could see. So remember, protein is important for muscle repair. It's important for immune function. It's important for feeling full so you don't overeat. So make sure you get your lean protein in there. You should also add whole grains, and that should be a quarter of your plate. What I mean by that is brown rice, quinoa, and I'm not talking about like, and I know that this is not the perfect because it shows a slice of white bread, which you should never eat, but you know what I'm talking about. It actually is meant to show you that it represents grains. So these are important for providing sustained energy. They are high in fiber. So quinoa is a great one. It's a superfood. And it helps with digestion and can actually help you in preventing spikes in that blood sugar that we talked about, right? We don't want to have those spikes because they do wreak havoc on the digestive system and it leads to diabetes, which we don't want. You should also incorporate healthy fats. Yep, you don't need a lot. A small amount is more than enough. And olive oil, nuts, seeds, or avocado should be your choices. And they are crucial for brain health, for inflammation reduction, and for the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins. So vitamins A, D, E, and K. So vitamin D is super important, not only for the making of sex hormones, but it's important for immune function. Gentlemen, those of you that are on the call, it's crucial for the production of testosterone. I cannot even tell you, your body cannot make it without vitamin D. Vitamin D is actually a hormone, so it's important that you get this. Usually we make it from exposure to sunlight. I was talking to Jaspreet about sunlight and how important it is to be exposed to it. We don't get a lot of it in Canada during the winter, so make sure that you do supplement it, but make sure that you have good fat so that that vitamin can actually be absorbed into the body. You don't want to be taking something and your body's not even absorbing it. You're basically going to be peeing it out, making expensive urine, and spending money you shouldn't be spending. It's important to eat fat. And like I said, the important ones, olive oil, nuts, seeds, avocado, those are the really, really good ones. So you should also practice portion control. We already talked about that, but pay attention to the portion sizes. You want to avoid overeating, even with healthy foods. A lot of times people say, well, it's a healthy food, that's okay. As I was telling my friend once this, when I got onto the keto diet, and of course I had just started, I went to Costco when they had this keto friendly granola of sorts. So I thought, oh my God, keto friendly, perfect. Okay. And I love granola. So I went home and I ate the whole bag with cashew milk that I made. That was like a gazillion calories. And of course, I felt very guilty afterwards. So remember, even healthy foods can be overdone. And I believe I told you guys in previous sessions, even a lot of water can lead to death. If you were to go and drink about 6 liters of water, 8 liters of water in one day, it's going to dilute all of your minerals to the degree that you will die. So don't do that. Everything has to be in balance. Even too much of a good thing is not a good thing. So remember, practice portion control. Listen to your body is also important. It's important to eat mindfully. I had a conversation with another friend about this. Put your phone away. Do not sit there scrolling while you're mindfully just shoveling food in your mouth. Pay attention to your hunger and your fullness cues. A lot of times we overeat because we're just thinking our mind is on something else, and we just do a lot of this. We just shovel food in our mouths and we overeat. Actually be aware, like stay with your food, enjoy the taste, enjoy the aromas, and pay attention to how your body feels. And it helps you enjoy your meal, and you also prevent overeating. We don't want to create those habits that are actually not good for you. So remember, this is a flexible guide. It's okay to have meals that don't perfectly fit in this plate or in this model of a plate, but it's a great goal to aim for most of the time. I know that when we celebrate, we kind of fall off the wagon and we deviate a little bit, but I want you to understand this is a model that's actually going to lead to health. And this approach ensures that you're going to get a well-rounded intake of all the nutrients that you need, the ones that are important, and the ones that are essential for maintaining health, particularly as we get older when we tend to be, getting more sick. So this is how you create a healthy plate, my friends. And of course, if you want to maintain health, the power of portion control, it is crucial, okay? Because it allows you to maintain healthy weight. So in other words, you prevent weight gain. And that's important. You want weight management, right? You have to eat appropriate portions. It can lead to weight gain. You don't want to gain weight because remember what I said, it's very easy to gain. It's very hard to lose. You want to balance nutrient intake, right? By controlling your portion, you can ensure that you're getting the right balance of nutrients without over-consuming any single one to the exclusion of the others. Like if you're going to eat a lot of meat, but you're not going to have vegetables with it, well, meat doesn't give you fiber, you're going to get constipated. And if you get constipated and you're not able to go to the bathroom, or if you have to strain to go to the bathroom, you can get hemorrhoids, you can get fissures in your anal area, you're going to have bleeding, and then that creates other issues. You don't want that. You want to reduce calorie overload. That's right. Smaller portions mean fewer calories. So if you want to maintain a healthy weight, which I know we all do because it's easy to gain, and especially as we age, when the metabolism slows down, it's important to reduce your calorie overload. You also have to understand true hunger. And I mean true. That's why I put that in capital letters, because portion control helps you distinguish between true hunger and eating out of habit or boredom. If you're really in self-awareness, you'll know that sometimes you're just like, I don't know, I feel like having something. So you just feel like it. You're not hungry, you just feel like it. And true hunger comes from here. A boredom kind of, I feel like something, mostly comes from here. Okay. So you have to pay attention to what the body is telling you. Like true hunger, you feel. Anything else is mostly just boredom, or there's something that kind of, you're watching TV and there's a commercial for a snack and you're like, oh, you know what, I actually feel like having some ice cream, and you go and you get your ice cream and you eat all of it. So remember, don't eat out of boredom, don't eat by being completely disconnected. Make sure you're able to distinguish between true hunger and distraction. If you eat smaller portions, you also have better digestion because smaller, well-balanced portions are easier on the digestive system. And the digestive system starts in the mouth and ends at the anus. Okay, so across that whole continuum, different things happen, and you will reduce the likelihood of discomfort and bloating. Okay, or being constipated, or getting heartburn, depending on where you are. Sometimes it's in the abdomen, sometimes it's in the stomach, sometimes it's when you're trying to go to the bathroom. So remember, that whole digestive tract is affected by what you eat and how much of it you eat. So you also want to make sure that you engage in mindful eating. I already talked about this, because if you focus on the portion size, you actually will be mindful eating because you're looking at how much, you're actually paying attention to the food. You're more aware of what and how much you're eating, right? So make sure that you are able to stay in the know and practice portion control. For those of you that do what I sometimes do, and I'm telling you guys, I know that I should practice what I preach, but it's important. I know that sometimes we say, well, I'm not going to put a little bit of that into a container because then I'll have to wash the container. Nobody's here to see me, so I'm just going to eat out of the container, put it back in the fridge. Do you know how quickly you're going to eat that whole container? Do you know how quickly you're going to eat half of the container or 3/4 of the container? Because you don't even realize. So it's important to actually take, if you're going to have a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, half a cup, whatever it may be, take it out of the container, put it in a plate or in a jar or in whatever you're eating out of, a bowl, eat out of that, put that away. Now you know what you're having, you know how much you're having. And once you see with your eyes that you've finished what you put in your plate, you know you're done. It actually triggers you to think, okay, I'm finished. So portion control is very important, and I highly, highly tell you guys, do not eat out of containers or bottles or whatever the case may be. So this is how you estimate portion sizes. I wanted you guys to understand, because there are practical skills to maintaining a healthy diet, whether you do this at home or when you're dining out, because it's easy to overeat at home, especially at home, but outside too, because obviously restaurants they want you to feel like you're getting a bang for your buck. So they're going to make super big sizes. And also, a lot of the things that you buy at the store, you see they are, plumper. Even fruits are bigger. They're like on steroids because you have to pay more money for the more it weighs, the more money you pay. So it makes sense from that perspective. So it's on you as the consumer to make sure that you make decisions upon how much you're going to eat. So use your hand as a guide, okay? For protein like meat, fish, tofu, the size of your palm in thickness and diameter will actually give you what you need for your body, for your size. So my hand is about this big, but I'll tell you, if you look at my son, who is about 6'2" in height, his hand is like out to here, but he's bigger. His body needs more than I do. He's also a man. I'm a woman. I do not need as much as he does, and he is 17. He's still growing, so his body needs significantly more than what I need. And he obviously needs more because he's also very active, more so than me. He does sports, he does mixed martial arts, so he needs a lot more than what I need. So the size of your palm is going to be in direct correlation to the size of your body and what your body needs, which is typically about 3 to 4 ounces, at least for me. So for, if you're bigger, you can eat up to 6, 8, 10 ounces, depending on what your needs are. But I'm just talking from an overview. Vegetables and salads, the size of a fist, okay, that's roughly 1 cup. But the same thing, this fist versus the fist of a man is very different. His fist is going to be in relation to his body. My fist is in relation to my body. So you could use that if you're thinking, okay, how many veggies? Okay, if you look at how much you have in a bowl and it's typically the size of your fist, then you're okay. When it comes to carbohydrates, rice, pasta, things like that, a single serving is about the size of your clenched fist again. So about this much in grains. So if you're going to be doing rice, quinoa, whatever you may be doing, this much is about enough. And for fats, the size of your thumb. Again, my thumb is much smaller than other people's thumbs, and there could be bigger, smaller than mine too. So remember, that's about how much you need. So if you're going to be doing cheese or nuts, that's about how much you need, because it's very nutritionally dense and it has a lot of calories. So that's about a tablespoon. So if you're going to be actually using something that you're going to measure it with a utensil, like to put it on a salad, then a tablespoon is about the size of your thumbs. So when it comes to the plate, so this is if you're going to be using your hand. If you're going to be using a plate to make to put together what you're going to be eating, so your portion sizes, fill half of your plate with non-starchy vegetables, much like I showed you guys on the other slide. A quarter of your plate should be lean protein, and the remaining quarter should be whole grains or starchy vegetables. So this, half a plate veggies, a quarter plate protein, quarter grains. All right. So that's if you're using the plate, okay? And healthy fats, of course, small amount. If you're eating a lot of fat, you're going to consume an entire avocado. That's okay. If that fits within the proportions of what you're eating, it's okay. And it's healthy because that is a healthy choice, but don't overdo it. And remember the calorie intake and remember the portion sizes. So that's the plate method. If we're going to do visual comparisons, fruit, a serving of fruit should be about the size of a baseball. So if you think of a baseball, that's about how much fruit you need. So that's like an apple, or if an apple is smaller, like if it's organic and it's smaller in size, you could do an apple and an orange. And those two together would be sort of roughly equal to a baseball. If you're going to be using butter or spreads, think of the size of a postage stamp or dice. So that little, that's how much you need. You do not need a lot. It's going to be a lot of stress on your gallbladder. Okay. So don't overeat fat. You can also use smaller plates. Okay, so you could do that. Here are these are just some other tips for you guys. You could use smaller plates. This can naturally help you eat less, because it obviously, if you have a smaller plate and you fill it, it's going to make your portions appear much larger. But because the plate is smaller, you're not eating that much as if you were to fill a bigger plate, right? Makes sense. And again, avoid eating straight from the package. I already told you guys, serve a portion on a plate or a bowl to avoid mindless eating and to make sure that you're not going to be jacking up the calories. Be mindful of liquid calories. That's an important one. Beverages can contribute to your calories intake by a lot. Has anybody ever had a Frappuccino? Those things are like 900 calories and a lot of sugar and a lot of fat. So you have to remember, or like even coffee. There are people who drink coffee and they put 4 sugars and 3 creams. That's a lot of calories for one coffee. And the standard serving is typically about 8 ounces. So if you're going to get like a venti from Starbucks or extra large, remember, it goes beyond the 8 ounces, and then you're adding more sugar and more cream to make sure that you do it for that 8 ounces. Also, listen to your hunger cues, and remember, you have to pay attention to your body. If you eat slowly and you pay attention to how full you feel, you will stop when you're comfortably satisfied and not stuffed. And just so you guys know, a statistic for people who are obese, the hunger and satiety cue is actually slower for those people. Not the hunger, but the satiety. So for us, that signal is much quicker. Within about 15 minutes, if you pay attention to your body, you will know that you're full. For obese people, that signal takes about 45 minutes from obviously the signal between the brain and the stomach. So imagine if you don't feel full for 45 minutes, you continue eating because you're like, well, I'm not full yet. So you keep eating and you keep eating and you keep eating and you keep eating. For that 45 minutes, you take in a whole bunch more calories, a lot more food, which is why you perpetuate that whole cycle of obesity. So make sure you are really paying attention when you eat, mindful. You know, it's actually even good if you can light a candle, it would help a lot. So your hunger cues are very important. So these are just guidelines that can vary based on your needs and appetites, of course. For those people that are really heavily into sports, they may need a lot more than what I just gave you here, but these are portion sizes as an estimate. So these are the tips. But the key is to be mindful. Like that goes such a long way, because you're able to visually see how much you're consuming. You can adjust the portion sizes, but you also get to put the connection between what you see and how you feel in your stomach, or how full you feel, or how hungry you feel, right? So make sure you pay attention to your dietary goals, your needs. If you're like on a diet, like you want to lose weight, you're not just eating freely, it's not the holidays, you're not at a party, all those things play a role. You know what I mean. Now, you have to think in terms of how nutritionally dense are the foods that you eat, because you want to get in nutrition. You want to nourish yourself. You don't want empty calories. A lot of people do that. So if you're wondering what an empty calorie is, think of wine. Think of drinks that have juices in them, things like that. Think of what I told you guys, the Frappuccino from Starbucks. Think of donuts. Those are completely empty calories that do nothing for your health, okay? So you have to recognize foods that are part of a healthy diet, healthy being the key word. So if you identify these foods in restaurants, that's a skill, and I want to teach you guys so that you can maintain your healthy diet, you maintain your healthy lifestyle, even when you go out. So here's how you recognize, like for whole grains, you need to look for keywords, right? You search for terms like on the menu, and I'll walk you guys through a menu very soon. You want to look for things like whole grain. You want to make sure it says whole and hold them accountable. You have to hold these companies and these restaurants accountable. They cannot mislead you. You could sue them. And they're not allowed to do that. They could get fined or closed down. You want to look for things like brown rice, quinoa, bulgur, whole wheat, barley. Things like those are what's important because they're whole foods, right? Not like the buns that go through a whole bunch of processing to put together, like the buns that I showed you guys on that slide where they had that big hamburger. You want to ask about the preparation. So sometimes restaurants can substitute whole grains in place of refined grains, and you could request it. Like there have been times, like if you want to eat a hamburger and you don't want to have the bun, just say, hey, put it in between lettuce. I'm not going to have the bun. You eliminate a whole bunch of calories. You're not going to spike your sugar. You keep it healthier. Or you could just say, I'm just going to do half. So you could just do half a bun. You could do the bottom or the top. And that's it. You eliminate a whole bunch of calories, and you're also going to feel better about yourself. So remember, you can always ask the restaurants to substitute for you guys. Be very cautious about mixed dishes. Dishes like risottos or pilafs can be healthy if made with whole grains, but you have to be mindful of the added fats and sugars, like those really heavy, dense sauces. And if they put sugar in them to make them more palatable so that you can eat them, well, they do that. So remember, when it comes to lean proteins, choose wisely. So you want to do grilled, you want to do baked, you want to do steamed, you want to be doing things like broiled. Instead of, if you go to restaurants and even look at them, they are like they are typically deep fried. They are typically, let's say, blackened, things like that. Even sauteed, if they're not going to use a good fat to saute them in, then that kind of dries up the nutrient, the fat and the calories. So look for fish, for skinless chicken if you're going to be paying attention to the calories. Obviously, tofu, beans, and lean cuts of meat, but tofu and beans is typically very easy. But remember that picture that I showed you guys that time with the list of ingredients where they have a lot of sugar added to it. You want to be very mindful of that. So always ask questions. Watch for your portion sizes. Okay, a healthy portion is often smaller than the restaurant servings. Restaurant always pile a whole bunch of stuff to make you guys think you're getting value for the money. So consider sharing, like I said, or taking part of the meal home with you to eat, to give it to someone else to eat it at a later meal or to take it tomorrow, whatever the case may be. Avoid heavy sauces. Creamy or buttery sauces can add a lot of fat and a lot of calories. So ask for these sauces to be put on the side or choose dishes that have light tomato-based sauces instead of things that have a lot of fat and a lot of things that have added sugar. So if you put a dressing on the side of your salad, instead of putting that whole thing, you could actually put just half. So now you just cut half the calories. Remember that story I told you guys about the salad? I still think of that with horror. I ate so much, so many calories. When it comes to vegetables, go for variety and color. The more colorful, the better. And the broader the range of nutrients, like vitamins, minerals, things like that. Ask them to be steamed or raw because these cooking methods actually preserve more of the nutrients than frying them or smothering them in heavy sauces. You're eating like sauce with a little bit of vegetables instead of vegetables with sauce. You can make substitutions, so request extra vegetables instead of high-calorie sides like French fries or mashed potatoes. That's what I usually do. Whenever they say, hey, you get 2 sides with this, what would you like? And I just usually say, I'll get double the veggies. So I always make sure I have veggies. And sometimes if I'm out with my family and let's say I'm craving like, oh my God, French fries, I'll take 1 or 2. That's it. But I'm not going to order them for myself because I know that then I'll feel obligated to eat them. When it comes to healthy fats, make sure that you identify good fats. Remember what I told you guys, look for dishes that include avocado, nuts, seeds, olive oil, good cheeses, a little bit, it's fine. Be knowledgeable when it comes to sauces. Some dressings and sauces can be high in unhealthy fats and they often have a lot of sugar. So make sure you get vinaigrettes or ask for dressing on the side, like I said, or sometimes you could just say, you know what, I don't want that dressing. Can I just get a little bit of olive oil and half a lemon? And you could just, that's how you dress your salad. Very simple. And you are the one who's in control. Moderation is key. So remember, even healthy fats can be high in calories. So make sure you watch your portion sizes. I wanted to remind you of that. So always start with a salad. These are general tips for you guys. When you eat in a restaurant, start with a salad. You put some of the good stuff in your stomach. Now you're not going to feel like ravenous, like, oh my God, I got to eat. Put the dressing on the side, like I said, and start your meal with vegetables. This is good fiber as well. Sorry guys, my laptop is not plugged in anymore and I don't want it to die while I'm talking to you. Drink your water. Okay, so this is a calorie-free. It helps you stay hydrated. Make sure it's before the meal. So after you order, while you're waiting for them to bring your food out, have a glass of water. Put some lemon in it and you're good to go. And try not to get municipal water. Remember that. Avoid upsizing. A lot of times they will ask you to upsize, but stick to regular or smaller portion sizes. And even if you do upsize, take the rest home so that you can actually have it the next day or at a later meal, or you can give it to somebody in your family. And remember to ask lots of questions. Don't hesitate to ask. They have to tell you about how dishes are prepared, what the ingredients are, so on and so forth. So that's an important one. And if you keep these things in mind and you make informed choices that align with your health outcomes, because you have goals for your health, like you want to reduce the sugar, you want to lose weight, whatever your goals are, even when you dine out, you could do this very easily, very easily. It's about balance and about making the best choices available in each situation with you being educated when you get there, right? You want to be prepared well in advance. Macronutrient balance. Again, remember, you guys are probably wondering, well, okay, so I'll have this many grains and I'll have this many veggies and this much protein, but carbohydrates should make about, and I'm averaging here. If you're keto, of course, you're not going to have carbohydrates to this degree. You should still have a little bit, but not necessarily this. So this is just the average. 45 to 50% of your meal should be carbohydrates. And remember, carbohydrates don't have to mean pasta, bread. It doesn't have to be rice. It doesn't have to be quinoa. A lot of carbohydrates actually come from vegetables. That's right. So complex carbs and veggies, that's where the magic is. Proteins should make about 30% of your meal, and they should be from lean sources, whether they're animal or not. You should still take 30% in. If you're going to opt for plant, still aim for 30% of your meal coming from that. Your fats should be the lowest, unless you're on a keto diet, in which case fat goes up, protein stays moderate. But on average, for regular people that eat regular meals and they have everything, carbs, protein, and fat, 20-30%, and make sure that they're healthy, no saturated, no trans. If you need to go back to when we talked about fats, and remember, saturated fats and trans fats are the bad ones. So remember to balance your plate. I've already talked to you guys about that. I've also talked about the mindful eating, and I've also talked to you about consistency. So visualize your plate. Like if you're gonna do this, divide your plate into sections as you're looking at it. I know I'm asking for a lot, but if you can get into the practice of this, you can actually visualize how you make your plate, especially if you're gonna eat at a buffet. So half should be filled with veggies and fruits, if you're going to add fruit, 1/4 with lean protein, so your meats go there, or your fish, and the other quarter with whole grains. So if you're going to have things like rice, make sure you're not filling half or 3/4 of your plate with rice and then a little bit of meat. No, 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 no. Adjust according to your needs. So of course, your activity level, like if you're about to go, run a marathon, yeah, you do need more of those carbohydrates. But take into account your activity level, your age, your health goals, your dietary needs, especially if you suffer with diabetes. You do not want to be eating all those carbohydrates. So you need to adjust these proportions. So like for somebody who's super active, you're going to need more carbohydrates. If you're trying to put on weight, you're going to need more calories. So of course, play with what you have. But listen to your body, pay attention to your hunger and fullness cues. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's just to drive the whole point home. Eat slowly and mindfully so that you can understand when you're comfortably full. I'm not saying like you should be stuffed, or, oh, I'm still hungry, but I don't know, I've already eaten, and you need to be comfortably, satiated. And enjoy the food. That's actually very important. A meal should be enjoyable, savor the flavors, enjoy the textures as you're eating. And make sure that you stay consistent. Regular meals, try to eat at regular intervals so that you don't have your energy levels dip, and you don't overeat. You prevent overeating later on. You know how sometimes you're like starving yourself, or you've skipped so many meals, and then when you eat, you just go out of control. Trust me, I tell you, because I've done it. So I'm speaking from experience. Don't think I'm just preaching. I've been through all of the whole spectrum of it all. Remember to also stay hydrated. So drink water throughout the day, away from meals. And oftentimes we feel like we want to eat. If you have a glass of water, you will very quickly recognize whether that was real hunger. Because if you feel satiated after you drank that water and you're not hungry anymore, that was actually thirst that you mistook for hunger. Okay, so stay hydrated. And remember to balance your macronutrients, okay? It's not about perfection in every meal. Don't expect that every single meal should be super balanced or stressing out. No, no, no. It's about achieving a balanced intake over time. So you should be consistent. I practice 80-20. So sometimes 20% of the time, if you're going to indulge, it's okay. The body can handle it. But 80% of the time, be consistent, eat mindfully, practice portion control, get all your nutrients, get all your macronutrients, and listen to your body and make informed food choices, especially when you go out to eat. Those are the cornerstones of a macronutrient balance. So this is what a real plate should look like. I wanted you guys to see. So as you could see here, you have some fruits. So you could make all of this berries. That's my favorite. I would not recommend that you put banana in your salad or with your vegetables, but typically you should have some sort of intake from this too, if you want to, especially if you're going to be craving sugar. These are really great right here, these two. Sometimes you see shaved apples or even pears in salads. And of course, your veggies, a little bit of grain, and there's your lean meat, whether it's protein. And this could also be tofu, this could also be beans if you're vegetarian, if you don't eat meat. This is the composition of a balanced plate with the proper balanced macronutrients. This is how you proportion your veggies, your protein, your whole grains, and your healthy fats, so that you can have a well-rounded and nutritious meal, right? There's fat in the meat here as well, but if not, then you could add a little bit of avocado, nuts, seeds. Healthy choice strategies. You need strategies, okay? So the methods that they cook foods are very important. So always opt for grilled, baked, steamed, or roasted, whether they're vegetables or anything else, even meat, because they require less added fat compared to frying. Like you see right here, this is the worst of the worst. Or sauteing, especially because it's deep fried. And this one in particular, it's actually because it's also breaded. So you're adding extra calories. That's going to spike your sugar. So very unhealthy. And fat and grains of this kind especially that's like a bomb that's about to explode in your body. It's a big no-no. Remember about dressings and sauces on the side. Mind your portions, okay? Share meals, pack half, take it home, have it later, give it to a family member. Start with a salad or a soup in the winter. You could also start with soup. That's okay as well. Substitutions, healthier options, okay? Whole grains over refined. So choose brown rice, whole wheat pasta if you're going to have pastas. So the refined things like buns and things like that, you should actually bypass that. And remember that restaurants will accommodate. Ask for extra veggies instead of high calorie sides. So instead of bread, or even if you don't want to have rice or pasta, you could just say, hey, can I have the veggies instead? Or ask them, I'd like veggies instead of my pasta. They should accommodate that, unless you're going out for Italian and you're going to have pasta, have the pasta. Make sure it's part of the 20% of the time. Be mindful of beverages. So choose water, herbal tea, or black coffee if you're going to be going out for breakfast. Those are calorie free, and they are much better than their counterparts that include a lot of sugar. So if you're going to have the coffee, black without sugar, most important. Limit or actually eliminate altogether sugary or alcoholic drinks. These actually add empty calories. And if you're going to have to consume alcohol, make sure that it's by itself, have some water, kind of flush the system, and then have your meal. And remember to pay attention to your body's cues, especially when it comes to hunger. Eat slowly and mindfully. Pay attention when you feel full. Know what that feels like. Even if you do that at home, like do it for a few days so you could actually feel, so you could recognize that feeling when you're going to be out at a restaurant. Watch the add-ons. Yep, there are high calorie toppings. Sometimes, when you get a baked potato and they just put all kinds of stuff, bacon bits, croutons on salads, things like that. Those are all added calories. So cheeses, bacon is a big one, but cheese, of course, on baked potatoes too, or on salads. So that actually increases the calorie count of the meal. So be mindful of that. And pre-plan your meals. Yeah, check the menu in advance. If you can, check it online beforehand and decide what you want to order to avoid making impulsive decisions. I do that all the time. I check it on my phone. I check it on the computer. Before I go there, I want to see what's on the menu. And sometimes, my best friend will attest to this, we look at the menu beforehand, we share it with each other. And if we don't like what we see there, then we just go and look for another restaurant. It's as simple as that. Go and give your money to where you can actually invest in your health. So these are some of the strategies that you can include in your dining choices, whether you're going to be eating at home or even you're going to be out or somebody's house. This is how you build a healthy diet, and you build really good habits. You want to make sure that you train yourself, you train your mind to recognize what your body feels, to recognize what you're putting in your body, to recognize what a plate looks like, to recognize how your body signals you to say, hey, feed me, I need to eat. And instead of eating and drinking empty calories, it's better to know what your body is looking for. It's looking for nourishment. And pay attention how you feel after you eat vegetables versus how you eat after you have, I don't know, a bagel with cream cheese. Pay attention to what your body's telling you. It's telling you all the time. So small changes like these are going to add up to a big difference in your overall health. So when you're going to go to a restaurant, ask the right questions. So here are some I put together for you so you guys can know how to approach it. How is this dish prepared? Okay. Ask if the food is grilled, baked. You could say, hey, how is this prepared? Is it baked? Is it deep fried? Is it grilled? And then tell them, because if it's not, I would like it grilled. You can ask, can you tell me about the ingredients that are in this? Okay, so that they should know, they should actually be trained to be able to explain. Especially if you go to restaurants, the staff there actually eat everything that's on the menu so that they can speak to them. Okay, that's actually a requirement for them to be able to have the conversations with their customers. You can also ask, are there whole grain options available? Can I get the dressing on the side? Very okay to ask these questions. Don't ever feel like you can. Is it possible to substitute veggies for a starchy side? Can you accommodate special dietary requests? I'm vegan, or I'm diabetic. I can't have this because it's going to spike my sugar. Perfectly okay for you to do this. And empowered eating anytime, anywhere. So choose cooking methods wisely, practice portion control, ask for healthy substitutions, put dressings and sauces on the side so that you don't overeat them. Ask about how it's prepared. Make sure that you pay attention to what you choose as your beverages. Start with the soup or salad. Make sure you have your water beforehand, about half an hour. Listen to what your body is telling you and avoid mindless eating. Plan ahead. That's super important. Okay. And enjoy the dining experience. Don't have distractions. Slow down. Savor the flavors. Eating should be a conscious and spiritual experience. You should actually enjoy the connection with the food. All right, guys. So now I want to take you to a website. So I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to take you to a website. So I chose Jack Astor's. I asked you guys last time when we had the last session, what restaurant would you like me to show you guys so that we can walk through, and this is where I got that picture at the beginning, so I can walk you guys through how to make good choices. So give me a second here. I'm going to close this down and I'm going to share my screen. Oh, I was looking at dresses. Yes. One of my friends sent me one. And give me 1 second. I have to see where I have Jack Astor's. Here we go. All right. So this is the Jack Astor's menu, guys. It wants to know my location. I'm not going to tell my location. Let's go Ontario. I'm going to choose Mississauga because that's where I went and I ate there. And let's say Square One. All right, that's the location we want. All right, so here is the menu right here. All right, so we're gonna go for food. Let me bring this up so you guys can see better. All right. Hey, where is the food? Okay, here we go, at the bottom. So here is Jack's garlic. These are your starters. And just look at this stuff, guys. That's a lot of calories. And as you can see, this tells you exactly what's in it, okay? So oven and topped with Parmesan, garlic, butters. And this is, of course, it's easy because we're online, but you can do this if you're at home. If you go to nutritional information, it's going to actually show you what's in this. Okay, so here's the garlic pan bread. I mean, look how thick it is. So it's going to show you it has just this alone, just this. It has 1,231 calories. And there are 478 calories that come only from fat. Okay, Saturated fat is 10%. Okay, so total fat is 53 grams, and 10.9 comes from saturated, and it also has trans fat. Okay, so 82% of fat. Then it shows you it has 1,768 milligrams of salt. Then it has 160 grams of carbohydrates. And of course, dietary fiber, because it's bread, and 18.3 grams of sugar. So for those of you that have any kind of sort of diabetes or anything of that nature, or you're not looking to, spike your sugar, well, there you go. And it actually tells you that there's 29 grams of protein, of course, because it has, I think it has butter in it, and there is a little bit of protein in grains as well. Don't ever think that carbohydrates don't have any protein. Amino acids, remember. And it also shows you a little bit of like some of the vitamins. So A, C, calcium, and iron, and it tells you even in percentages. So see, this is actually very simple. Every single menu should have this available to you. Let's look a lobster and crab dip. So here is the nutritional advice. So this one has 909 calories with 500, so more than half is actually from fat. So that's a lot of fat, okay? Saturated fat is 29%. You also have some trans fat, a lot of sodium, 77 grams of carbohydrates because you have these chips here, 6.6 grams of fiber, that's very little, and of course 11.8 grams of sugar, right? And 30 grams of protein because of course there's lobster in there. So now you guys see how this actually works, but I want to show you the best part. So this is what I typically do. When I go to a restaurant, what I actually go for, so poutines, of course, are your French fries. Let's just have a look at this one. Let's look at fully loaded poutine. Get ready for this, my friends. This is going to be scary. So just this little thing here has 1,756 calories, okay? 1,099 of which are only fat, okay? So 122 grams of fat. So rethink those poutines next time you want to have them. 33 grams of that is saturated and 4.9 is trans fat. It's got a whole bunch of cholesterol, 110 milligrams, 3,026 milligrams of salt. And that's actually not the healthiest salt. The ones that I told you guys to put in your water is good, but this one is not. 134 grams of total carbohydrates. And out of that whole bunch, only 9.8 grams is actually fiber. Okay, and 34 grams of protein because they put a whole bunch of stuff on it, like bacon and so look at this. You guys should pay attention to this. Percentage daily values are based on a 2,000 calorie diet. 2,000. And 1,756 is just this little thing here. And I'm sure you're not going to eat just this if you're going to go to a restaurant. You're going to be like, oh, I'll have the poutine and then I'll have this and then I'll have this. So that's what happens. It adds up. And just quickly, so you guys saw what the numbers were, but I wanted you guys to see. So fully loaded poutine, it's fries, Quebec, cheese, curds, crispy bacon, gravy, cheddar, sour cream. Oh my God. And you're paying $15 for that. Okay. Same thing. Nachos, tacos, fish tacos, haddock, vodka. Okay. So when you see batter, it means it's going to be deep fried. Okay, because batter is what they put on some sort of protein and then they throw it and they fry it with that on top. When I was in Florida, Florida actually has grilled fish tacos. I mean, they have a lot of fish there because it's like right by the ocean. I have yet to see any place in Toronto or in the GTA that has fish tacos that are not deep fried. Chicken fingers, we all know how they make those. Look at the picture and look what's on the side. Not a single vegetable in sight, my friends. Stay away. Chicken wings, same kind of thing. So flour dusted wings, deep fried and tossed in your choice of delicious sauce. So they don't, you can ask for the sauce on the side, but oftentimes that's how they cook them. So you're not going to have much say. They deep fry them. You can't really ask them to grill them because sometimes the way that they get these wings from whoever they get them from, they actually come like that and they have to be cooked like that. So in these kind of instances, you don't have this, but you could always ask. You can ask so that you could say, okay, I can't have that, then this is what I'm going to have. Then, of course, we have this, and look at that, bread, more starch, lots of cheese. The only vegetable here is this little bit of lettuce, okay? You guys remember the picture I showed you of the ketchup and what's in it? Lots of sugar. Let's just look at the nutritional information just for this one. Mushroom truffle cheeseburger. Okay. 1,228 is just the burger itself. Okay. It's got 92 grams of fat, 28 grams of saturated fat, then 5.8 grams of trans fat, 60 grams of carbs, because, oh, this is a triple decker, even bigger. 51 grams of protein. So if you're looking for protein, you're right there. 1,312 milligrams of sodium. So you get the point, right? You guys understand what I'm talking about. This is really valuable information. Like I am in heaven when I see all this because I'm able to see exactly what and how, and I can make all of my calculations in my head. But this is where I usually go to. So this is the side of the menu that I typically look at first and foremost, because I have trained myself to look at this so that I don't walk out of a restaurant bloated. I'm in digestive distress and I feel really guilty over the fact that I just ruined what I've worked so hard. So here are some of the best things. Like if you look at the Buddha salad, arugula, mixed greens, quinoa, so really good so far. You have your greens, you have your quinoa, which is a really good carbohydrate. You have cucumber, you have green apple. Remember I was telling you guys about the fruit? There you go. It also has strawberries. It has nuts and seeds. Goat cheese, which is one of the better cheeses, honey Dijon vinaigrette. So this is where I would tell them. I would probably just say, hey, can you put that on the side? Or can you leave it undressed? And can I just have a little bit of olive oil and half a lemon? And they'll do that. Mexican chicken bowl, grilled chicken, avocado. So you got your chicken, it's grilled. This is good. It's got a really good fat avocado. You could say, hey, I don't want the cheese. Cheese on the side if somebody you're dining with might want it, or you could take it home to eat later, but you could just say no cheese. Pickled red onion, black beans, extra protein, tomatoes, seasoned jasmine rice. So you could say, can I get that on the side? And you don't have to eat all of it if you don't want to. Salsa verde, chipotle mayo. So you could ask for that on the side. Creamy lime dressing. When you hear creamy, my friends, that's a lot of fat and it's very heavy. And they also add fresh cilantro, which is really good. Fiesta salad, mixed greens, arugula, avocado, black beans, corn, grape tomatoes, pickled red onion, salsa verde, crispy corn tortillas. I would actually opt for those not to be put on. Feta cheese, I would probably put on the side. Creamy lime dressing. So again, you see they have this. This is what killed me that time when I had that salad. It was actually the dressing, which was so much fat. Let's just look at this here, because I'm very curious to see. You will see that there's probably a lot of fat. So 34 grams of fat. Yeah, but this is a very modest 689 calorie salad with 310 coming from fat. So as you can see, but it's got avocado and it's got the cheese and the dressing is probably fat and it's got 79 grams of carbohydrates. That's why I said do not have those. Carbohydrates also come from the salad because a lot, like I told you guys, some of the vegetables are carbohydrates, especially the starchy ones. 23 grams of protein, 1,227 milligrams of salt. Of course, they probably have salt that they add to it. So this is a much, like 689 calories is a lot better than the 1,300, 1,200 calories. So this is how you choose a good salad. I would opt for this. I would not have the chips. Then let's see, Asiago crusted. You hear crusted, that means that it's probably either fried or it has something on it. So I would not choose that. It's got bacon, it's got croutons, but it's a Caesar salad. You could tell them no bacon, no croutons, and all they'll do, they'll just give you the romaine or the iceberg, and they would put the creamy Caesar dressing. But remember, it's creamy. That means a lot of fat. Then we have Thai coconut curry chicken bowl. Sauteed chicken. That's actually really good. So they sauteed it. Seasoned jasmine rice. I would be kind of skeptical about the seasoned. Like, what are you seasoning it with? I would ask that. Yellow Thai coconut curry sauce. So coconut, remember, that's actually going to be driving up the calories quite a bit. Roasted turmeric cauliflower. I really like that. Sweet potato. So that's a carbohydrate. It's a starch. So that's going to drive up the carbohydrates. Red peppers, carrot, cucumber, miso dressing. Not bad. Green onion, sesame seeds, peanuts, cilantro, fresh taro root. So I would probably say no peanuts. I'm not crazy about peanuts. But you guys get the idea. If you're able to get all of this information so that you know what you're putting in your body, it really gets you to understand how much damage you're doing and how much you go off your calorie intake, especially if you're trying to stay. Like if you're going to have one single poutine, which is just a whole bunch of fries, and that's going to be 1,200 calories. No, my friends, no. Anyhow, I've talked enough, and I think I've taken a lot of your time. I would love to do a little bit of a Q&A. If anybody has any questions, please unmute yourselves and let me know if there's anything that you want to know about dining out. Anybody? Okay, Chandler, unmute yourself. I see your hand is up.
Yeah, I want to ask, like you showed the plate with the fruits, vegetable,
Mhm.
protein,
Yep.
and carbohydrates all together.
Yep.
This is the first time I saw the fruits and vegetables and everything together in one meal.
Mhm.
Usually, the fruits are should be eaten separately,
Mhm. Yep.
according to Ayurveda, or as a snack, but
Yep.
not with the meal, like lunch or dinner.
So a lot of people do not eat them at all, and the only time they actually eat fruits is when they're in salad. They do not take the time to go and eat fruits by themselves. So for those people, it's important I get them because they do offer their own nutritional value. So it's better to get it in when you can like that than not at all. But you're right. If you can actually have it by itself as a snack, before meals, after meals, on their own, it's perfectly fine. But if you're not going to get them in and that's the only time you're going to get them, then it's better to have them. I mean, blueberries by themselves alone, they very, very, really good antioxidants. Apples, for example, they have a lot of fiber, a lot of vitamin C. So those are important if you're not going to get them in by themselves. But otherwise, if you are really well, like if you've conditioned yourself to say, okay, this is a meal, this is not, then that's okay. But for example, if you're going to go to a place and you're going to have something like this, like a burger with fries, and you're going to say, well, I'm going to have a salad, and that's the only thing you're going to have, and that's the only salad for the day, then sure, it's great. Yeah, those blueberries will come in handy. Absolutely. It all adds up, and it's great to have a little bit and none at all. But if you can eat your fruits as snacks, eat your fruits by themselves. That's what I do as well. And berries should be your choice because those are the most powerful ones. I'm not discounting that, apples are bad or oranges are bad or bananas are bad. No, they all have their own that they have their own power and their own benefits. But by and large, Berries are, they have the least amount of sugar, and they are the most powerful ones when it comes to antioxidant power. Anybody else? Any other questions related to what you should eat when you go out? And again, like I said, it's also if you're going to go to somebody's house. When I go to friends' houses and they have, you know, stuff on the table, I usually fill my plate. I take a little bit of something, I put it in my plate, a little bit of something, I put it in my plate, and I make the decisions as to what I'm gonna be eating and how much of what. Like if there's gonna be a big thing of pasta there, I'm gonna take like a tablespoon just so that I don't offend the host, but I'm not gonna have, you know, a full plate of pasta. So it's important to make really good informed decisions. That's why I wanted you guys to see how quickly it can all add up, especially in restaurants. And in restaurants, oftentimes people go and they are with friends. So they're with company and you don't pay as much attention. It's very easy to get carried away. Very easy.
So, talking about the wine is considered as fruits, taking fruits.
No, so wine, yes, it's made with grapes, obviously. However, it is fermented. It's not made organic the way it was made back in the day when, let's say, our family used to make it. That's how it was for me back home. They used to make the alcohol, but it was, you know what's in it. Nowadays, I'll tell you guys, and you could go and fact check this, especially red wines. They have a lot of colorants. They have sulfites in them, which are not healthy. They have an impact. It's a lot of sugar, a lot, especially if you don't pay attention. Like obviously when I go and I buy wine, I look at how much sugar is in the wine. There are some that have 2 grams of sugar per liter. And then there are some that have 89 grams of sugar per liter. Those are really sweet wines. Like if you think of ice wine, super sweet, a lot of sugar. If you think of dry wines, that's what they're known as. Dry, it means they have less sugar. But ideally, you would have the ones that have the least amount of sugar if you're going to consume the wine. And again, not with the meal. It's never good to put any liquid with the meal, ever, with any meal. Unless, of course, because I don't want you, like, if, for example, if you're eating something and it's very dry and you're not able to swallow it, take a sip. A sip is okay, but most people guzzle. They eat something, it has a lot of salt, or has a lot of sugar, and then they start guzzling, like they guzzle a glass of water. That's gonna create digestive distress. Ask anybody that has done that and not gotten bloated. I don't know anybody who has done that and not gotten bloated. You get bloated, you feel really terrible. So wine in moderation, it's not a fruit, it's made of fruits, but it goes through a lot of processing. Obviously, they extract the juice from the grapes, they ferment it, they add things to it, they process it, they extract the sugar, or it goes through processing. So you have to be careful with that. Any other questions? Mary, no questions from you? All right, my friends. If no other questions, then we're done for the night. And next week is our last week. I will be contacting you so that, and I'm going to be in touch even with Anu to see if we can, I can have you guys invited to some more programs that I am developing and some of the programs I've developed, my flagship program on anti-cancer. So we could talk all about that. But I will see you guys next week for the last session of this 12-week program. And of course, we'll be doing more of a Q&A at that, so that you guys can ask the remainder of your questions, be it about fat and hydration and carbohydrates and proteins and how to build a meal and how to be careful when you're dining out. All of that will be available next week, our last session. And of course, if you guys want to get a hold of me, those of you that are in the WhatsApp group, put a message in there so that you don't forget. Until next week, my friends, have a great night.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Chandra. See you next week. Bye, everybody.